Because sometimes you check in on Sundays, and then you sit down, and then you sort of check out. And we forget why we're here. So I think that's so valuable to revisit that and to reconnect to those principles now and then. So, as some of you know, I worked as a nurse before I began my journey as a spiritual teacher and as a medium. So I've been around healing and wanted to offer you a talk about healing for life, healing with life. But I have to tell you that I wouldn't teach you about something that I didn't have personal experience with. I would never share with you anything that I didn't know firsthand. So let me tell you about what happened to me around 4 years ago. The kids and I were over at a friend's house having a play date. And it was a really, really beautiful day outside, and we decided that we wanted to get out and ride bikes and do all the pedal, wheelie, fun things that you do when you're young and that the kids enjoy so much. So we went out into their driveway, and my friend opened her garage. And I was kind of peeking in the garage, not to be nosy, but because I was kind of nosy. And I saw in the corner of her garage a pogo stick. And I smiled, a big smile, and I looked at my friend and I said, "Is that a pogo stick?" I hadn't seen one in, well, a couple of decades. And she said, "Oh yeah, I got that for the girls. None of us can really use it, so it just sits there." And I said, "My friend, you are looking at the Grandmaster Pogo Champion of Missouri. When I was 10, I could out-pogo anybody. I could pogo while I was watching TV. I could pogo up and down stairs. I'm not kidding. I seriously had this really lovely time in my childhood pogo sticking my poor mom. She heard thump, 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 thump for hours at a time. So I said, "I'll teach your girls. I can show you guys how to pogo stick. It's nothing." And she said, "Do it." So we grabbed the pogo stick out. Now, I don't know. I kind of think that manufacturers now today make pogo sticks a lot shorter than they were when I was 10. Either that or I'm a little bit taller than what I was when I was 10. And I also think that gravity has shifted and has become slightly stronger than when I was little. Because let me tell you what happened. You might want to hold on for a minute because this is kind of a scary story. So I'm bouncing on this thing, and I got on the pogo stick, and it was sheer joy. It was exhilarating. I was just going on that thing like I had not missed a beat in 30 years. And I'm jumping, and she had her phone, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I gotta film this. This is incredible." So she gets out the camera, and she starts filming me. Things are great. So then I said, "I'm feeling good. I'll show you some of the tricks I used to be able to do." So I took one hand off, and I'm jumping with one hand. And she's, "This is amazing." Then things changed. I hit a rock on the pogo stick. It was a big rock, and I didn't see it because I was too busy showboating for the camera. So as I hit the rock, the pogo stick launched me backwards. And I was wearing some shoes that were not really the best for doing a pogo stick. They were little thin ballet flats. So as I launched into the air, I thought, I'm going to break my bones. And I landed down on my ankle, and I broke my foot in 2 places. Ouch. It brought my short-lived pogo stick revival to a rapid end. But I got up because I thought, I got to get the kids home. I got stuff to do. I don't really have time for this. It's probably fine. So we drove home, and I went to bed, and I just ignored the pain. The next day I woke up, and my foot was bigger than my thigh. So I knew that there was a problem and went into urgent care. And they x-rayed, and they said, "You're going to be off this thing for 6 weeks. There's just no way." And I left the office, and I was devastated because I didn't want to sit still for 6 weeks. I didn't have time to slow down like that. So after I had that moment where I was sad, I stopped and I thought, wait a second. I've got spirit. I know some things that I am going to try in my own life to see if I can't claim the natural and innate wisdom of spirit that can move mountains and that can help me heal. So I stopped affirming and believing in the brokenness, and I started surrendering to spirit. And I honored where I was at with my journey, with the pain and the injury, but more than that is I trusted spirit. And I started using 3 principles that I'll share with you today that will help you heal anything and everything in your life too. Spiritual healing. But let me tell you something. Sometimes we get tripped up because we have misbeliefs about what spiritual healing is. So I want to tell you, spiritual healing is not magic. It's not some woo-woo thing that's reserved for gurus or people who fast or people who go for these huge spiritual retreats and are able to withdraw themselves. It's not magic. Spiritual healing is your divine right. Each and every one of you are wired by spirit and created whole. It's not magic, it's your right. Also know that spiritual healing is not always instantaneous. We live in a give it to me now, I want it now, instant gratification kind of a world. And so sometimes if we say the prayer, we want it now. If you do the cleanse, you want to wake up and be cured. It doesn't always work that way. So be patient with yourselves. Spirit moves not in linear time, but in divine time. So practice and know that the results happen, even though it may not be instantaneous. Also, it's important to understand that spiritual healing does not always equal instant physical cure. Sometimes we think spiritual healing should mean our bodies just whoosh, transform overnight. That if we're balanced correctly, our bodies should never have issues. We should never have a down day or an off moment. But that's not true. And that's good. Because spiritual healing is more than your body. Spiritual healing is better than just having high energy all the time. Spiritual healing is experiencing peace that passes understanding. It's about knowing what it is to be calm, truly at peace, even in the midst of worldly storms. That's a gift that's better than anything physical. To know wellness and to wholeness that goes far beyond the conditions of our world is what spiritual healing, healing with life, is really, really all about. So let's talk about the steps so that you can start activating your healing abilities in your life. They're very easy, and I'm going to walk with you through these steps one at a time. The first step in claiming your life and in activating your spiritual healing powers is to release. Now, this can be sometimes a difficult step because the first thing you have to release is the belief that you are your body. I'll tell you, you're not your body. You're not your job. You're not your past. You're not your problems or what you believe are your issues. You are none of those things. Now, you have a body, and you use your body. You've lived through a past. You may work at a job and experience these things, yes, but those things are not you. You move through those things, but what you are is spirit. And who you are, truly who you are, is love. So often we start to become these issues. Oh, I'm a train wreck. Oh, I'm a mess. Oh, I'm sick. We're saying, I am those things. And we're not. Now, the medical community, our traditional Western form of healing, does not help us to alleviate some of this attachment we have to our physical conditions. When I was a nurse, when we were taking report, we literally labeled our patients by their issues. You've got the lung in room 2. You've got the knee over in room 5. When I was a student nurse one day, I came and sat down for a report, and the nurse said, "You're taking care of the cabbage in ICU." I said, "The cabbage? Where's the arugula or the baked potato?" Cabbage was the acronym for someone who'd had a heart surgery, a coronary artery bypass graft. cabbage. But in the healthcare system, we were referring to people by what was limiting them instead of affirming their perfect wholeness and their spiritual well-being. So we start to become these wounds. And those, it's so hard to overcome then, because then it's a way we start to perceive ourselves in the world. I'm a mess. I'm a nervous person. I'm someone who had this in the past. I'm broken. But you're not these things. You are not those things. Everything that happens to you in your life, be it physical, be it emotional, anything that happens to your life is an experience for you to embrace and to learn from, not to define you or to limit you. So you release is step one. The easiest way to start releasing from some of this identification we tend to have with our body, or the way we label ourselves as being our pain or our feelings, is to use two powerful words. And I'm going to say them, and then I want you to repeat them with me. The most powerful way to release yourself from the limits of the world is through the statement, I am. So say that with me. I am. And I can tell you so many things that you are. You are spirit. You are love. You are whole. You are free. You are beautiful. You are healing. You are inspired. You are light-filled and loved, created. You are. Each of you are. And I know sometimes when you're in pain or when you're scared, you don't want to use an affirmation, I am love, because it feels false. That's why I want you to remember the most powerful way to release yourself from that identification with the limits or the body or the ego is through the simple phrase, I am. So step one in spiritual healing is release. And you release through saying, I am. Step two in healing is my very most favorite step. It's the step that's fun. So after you release and create a little bit of a separation between you and the body that you have, or you and the emotions that you feel, create that separation between you and the experiences that you're having, you release and then you remember. You remember. So remembering is the aligning of your mind and the opening of your heart to the experiences in your life when you felt whole, when you felt truly well, and when you felt very free. So you remember the good times. Now, if you can't easily recall the good times, that's okay. They don't have to be things that have really happened. You can go to a place that inspires your mind and opens your heart that you've only dreamed of or that you imagine. But when you allow to recall and reminisce and to remember these places when you feel free, what you are really doing is surrendering to Spirit. You're stepping aside from the conditions and from the limits of the ego and the world, and you're realigning with truth. Because Spirit is joy. Spirit is whole. Spirit is freedom and perfect wellness. So when you remember those times in your life, and when you feel those feelings in your heart, what you are doing is re-welcoming yourselves back into the arms of God. So you remember, so you can reconnect and realign and be one with God. Now, how often should you do this in a day? As much as you like. The more you can allow yourself to focus on that expansive feeling of being aligned with Source, of being guided by Spirit, the more you can remember the truth, the more this truth sets you free. So when you wake up in the morning, spend a few moments with your mind recalling God and your heart remembering joy. And then if you have pain, or if you have doubt, or if you have uncertainty, acknowledge it, yes, but remember truth. If you're feeling shaky, instantly and immediately, as quickly as you can, let yourself remember, I am. I am. I am. It's not escape. Remembering these times and recalling these moments of freedom is not an escape. It's surrender. It helps you to realign. So when it comes to spiritual healing, first we release the I am, and then we remember our wholeness and our oneness with God. Release and remember. Then comes the third step. And I've got to tell you, for most of us, the last step is the hardest. It is. But the third step in spiritual healing and in healing for life is receive. It's to receive. Because you can release and you can remember as much as you want. And you can do that all day long. But until you receive, until you allow Spirit to really move you, to come into this place of knowingness within you, spiritual healing will be elusive and will be just out of reach. So you've got to learn to receive. So receiving means accepting your good, even if you've made some bad choices. It means allowing yourself to be nurtured, even when the world says we're supposed to be tough. Receiving means you acknowledge that you, right now, just as you are worthy. You are worthy of wholeness and wellness and joy and abundance and help in every way. Acknowledge your worthiness of it, even when the world gives you every reason to believe you're not. You have to allow, accept, and acknowledge Spirit's love within you to heal you and transform you for life. Now, as I said, that's difficult because we're trained to be tough. We're trained we're lacking. We're not good enough. But receiving means proclaiming your truth. So how do you do this in life? How do you let yourself receive? It's not like going to the gas station and plugging in and letting yourself get filled up. So receiving looks different for every person. But I'll tell you, this world of nature, the earth itself, gives and gives and gives flawlessly. So one of the best ways to receive is just to spend some time outside. Let yourself sit with your back against a tree. Lay back and watch the clouds and just daydream. Let yourself feel uplifted. Spend some time around animals, because they're so wonderful at giving and just accepting us exactly where we are. Spend time listening to music. Spend time in quiet or prayer. Maybe you've always wanted to learn how to play an instrument or to paint. But give yourself experiences, give yourself permission, allow yourself to be inspired and to receive of the endless stream of goodness that's always flowing to you each and every day. Sometimes receiving means you say yes when someone invites you on an outing or if someone asks you to join them. Sometimes receiving means saying no when someone is asking for too much. Sometimes receiving means that we hold on to the things that comfort us and that soothe us, that help us remember. But sometimes receiving means we have to let go of the things that don't serve us or of the things that weigh us down. How often should you receive? Every time you breathe. With each breath, allow yourself to inhale and receive. It's so important. It's the vital step in allowing yourself to heal. To heal with Spirit, to heal for life. So first you release, then you remember, and then you receive. That's doable, right? It's very doable. So back to the pogo stick and the experience I had. I decided to practice these things, to really put these things into my heart and into my mind. So I released the fears about not being able to get around, or what will I do, or what won't I be able to do. I just released all those things. And I remembered I am. I am. And then I started to remember when I was on the pogo stick when I was young. And I remembered climbing trees. And then I remembered all the things of just being unlimited. I remembered those things. And then I called my friend and told her to delete the video that she made of me breaking my ankle. Because she was going to put it on YouTube, and I didn't think that was appropriate. So I had her release that too, so no one would remember. And then I started receiving. And that is tough. So I started receiving when a few friends would offer to take me to the store. And then a few friends helped by bringing over some food. And I allowed that. I received. And I could have argued, well, it was my own fault. I shouldn't have been on the pogo stick. But I said, it's okay. I receive. And then I was quiet and I rested. I just spent time in my mind and in my heart with God, even in the midst of the busyness. And within 2 weeks, I was up full speed. The fractures had been healed, and I was ready to go. Was it a miracle? No. Was it magic? No. It was life. It was God. It was being in the flow. And that's what I want for you. I want you to release. I want you to remember. And I want you to receive right now God's truly amazing, powerful, unconditional love. Because we're in this together for life. And I want you to heal for life and for good. So thank you all so much for letting me be here today and for opening your hearts to me. I love each and every one of you. Thank you.